My interest in health came from a more existential place. I was I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I spent a lot of time on my own. I grew up in a community, and I had a lot of friends. But at the end of the day, you go home and you're on your own. My father is an intellectual who just does his own thing, and my mom is, she was a working woman, and she took care of the house, and she's my mom. She's not my friend, right? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I spent a lot of time on my own, and I'm a thoughtful person, I think. I like to think. I'm good at thinking, and I think deep, and I had questions since I've been a kid. Questions about life. Like I'm talking about as a young person. Interrogations about life, where I am, what's this world, and the sensitivity to people, wondering. Since I've been a child, when I was in my mom's womb, we went to Greece. Then we traveled some more, and when I was, I don't know, I think 4, we moved to Saudi Arabia, and we lived there. And before coming back to Canada, we traveled throughout Europe. So I've done a lot of traveling. I've seen a lot of things. Already at the age of 7 or 6, when we came back, 6, 7, I had been exposed to more than your average person may ever be in their lives by the age of 6 or 7. So when you live in Saudi Arabia, you are at the nexus of Islam. And of course, I'd gone to Egypt and seen the pyramids and whatnot. So here's what I'm trying to say. It's like, and throughout this whole process, I'm mostly on my own with 2 grown-ups. And my dad and I love my father, but we're very different. We're very, very similar also, but we're very different. I'm also my mom's son. So the point is, I spent a lot of time on my own, which means I think, observe, feel, perceive, and I was always curious about the differences in the world. Like here I am walking, and we have all of this, and there's this guy in the street, and this lady in Italy, I won't forget, and I'm like, she lives in the street with her old husband, and she takes a poop and pees in the street. So let's say you're a little kid and you see this. You don't understand. Well, I don't understand. I'm that person. I'm like, what's going on? So that I would ask my mom, like, why is she in the street? You don't understand. You're a kid. You don't understand the nature of the world. You don't understand how society is organized. You don't understand the principles of money. You don't understand hierarchy of power. You're just a kid. You're very pure-hearted, even though, you know what I mean? So that was always on my mind. And also I was very attached to my parents and had a very profound love for them. And I can feel, every son is like this with his mom. You can feel your mom, your mom's everything. Any fluctuation in her person or in her mind. And my mom was, like most modern women, you know, stressed, anxious, with 1,000 concerns, and her mind everywhere, and plus shopping and looking nice and all of this stuff. And you can feel her, and you can feel her pain. Like when she's anxious, even though she may be, I don't know, 30 or 32 or whatever, like young, you feel her anxiety, so you're already concerned for her well-being. You don't necessarily know yet what that means, but you can feel something bad can happen to her. And I was very concerned about this, and the same with my father. And I'm concerned. I'm like still as a very young person. Then as I started to grow up and teenage years came in, oh damn, I went through so much anxiety, insecurities, and I'm a sensitive cat. Like I feel shit. I can't pretend I don't. And that affects you. You have stomach aches. You have. When I was a teenager, I was growing fast, so I had knee pain. This is what the doctor said. The fuck, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Now I understand what was happening. But you have knee pain, so I'm like trying to be a sprinter, and I'm sprinting, and I'm losing because I have, like, let's say 3/4 of the race, my knee just drops. So these are things that add up. It's not always you have to have cancer. I never had a serious disease compared to what some people live, but just enough to just be like, what's happening to me and the people around me. My friend had a surgery in 8th grade. I'm like, you had a surgery because your appendices, or I don't know how you say this in English, and I don't know, all this just accumulated in my mind. Like, And as I reached the later part of my teens, I became a bodybuilder and the adult world and looking at the world around me. And I had never drank a drop of alcohol till the age of 19. Was it 19? 1999. So I guess I was 20. So you go out, you see people getting drunk, vomiting. You just see the state of affair of the world. You see the way people are, their minds, their psychology. I've met all kinds of people, have all kinds of experiences. And it's just like, well, something's going on. That's what dawned on me. And I'm like, I don't want to die. Or I don't want to be sick like that. You go with your grandfather at the hospital, he gets like a open heart surgery. And it's not like all these experiences are banalized. Is that a word in English? Banalized is how you say it? Banalized. That sucks. Okay, so all these experiences are banalized, but if you're perceptive and sensitive, well, I remember very well going to the hospital when my grandfather had his open heart surgery. Everybody's trying to stay positive, stay at the surface, but it's like, this is not positive or a surface. This guy, you don't know, you're young, right? You don't understand. This dude can die. He could die if he doesn't have the surgery, and he can die if he has the surgery, during the surgery, after the surgery. That's the aura, that's the energy. When the doctors show up, there's fear. To perceive that fear, if you're a little conscious and sensitive, this is a life-changing, this is fear. It's the greatest fear everyone has. And you get it in small doses, but for me, I picked it up. I'm like, yo, this is something else. This is like, whoa, this is this person. And then eventually you kind of add it up that yo, that could be me. That is me. And in my late teens, let's say my mind started to question life and what's going on in relationships and what's the meaning of all of this. And you want me to go to school, get a degree, and now I got to go get a job. I don't want a fucking job. I don't want to be like my dad. God bless him, really, no disrespect, but he's an engineer. He works in a huge firm. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be anything. Nothing that was presented to me interests me. I don't want to be a doctor. Couldn't have been a doctor even if I wanted to, because I didn't have the grades, because I didn't give a fuck to be a doctor. A lawyer, I didn't even understand who wants to be a lawyer. We had a friend of ours who was, since we're like in ninth grade, he wants to be a lawyer. He read John Grisham books and he wants to be a lawyer. And I looked at him, I'm like, why the hell would you want to be a lawyer? I couldn't understand why a person would be interested in the world of adults. Because what I saw looking at the world of adults is like shit. Like stressed, nervous, old age, disease. You stink, and just like it's heavy, and they drink to kind of like make it like, I'm like, why would I ever want to be an adult? At least the way they're presenting it to me. Like, what's the appeal? Why the hell would anybody want to be a politician? Like, let's say you're 18 or 15 or 14 or 12. Like, you want to be an astronaut because it's cool. Let's pretend that you can go to the moon. Like, what? That's cool, because there's an interest to discover what life is about, right? If you're a little kid, you want to be a cop. You don't know what a cop is. You don't understand what a criminal is either. But from the movies you get, it's like, I want to do good and I want to be a hero, this is a natural inclination, especially of the men, right? You don't really understand what it implies. You don't understand you're going to be an idiot to give tickets to people and that's your job, right? You don't understand that, but you idealize things. Who the fuck wants to be a prime minister? Or because I want to change the world. I'm like, okay, perhaps I'll let it pass, but it's like I witnessed the world around me and nothing made sense. I had no appeal to it. Why would I want to give myself to this? Why? Why would I want to work? Like when we were in university and you're like, we knew a lot of people, some people in engineering, some people in economics and finance and marketing. And now like they're like, I want to go work at Pfizer. I remember this dude, Hani, his name was like an Egyptian little dude. And he's so happy he's going to get a job at Pfizer or some kind of like big Merck Frost, right? I now remember. And I look at him and I'm like, right? We smoke weed and try to get laid, right? And this guy's talking about, you want to work at Merck Frost? What the fuck is Merck Frost? This is one of the big corporations in da. I'm like, who cares? But a shift happened to the young man as he becomes the adult. The very thing Peter Pan never wanted to go through, and I understand Peter Pan, it's not that I had a Peter Pan syndrome, like, but why would I ever want to be an adult like that? And I witnessed my friends become like that, and it was such a weird phase of my life. It was traumatizing. I swear to God, when I turned 20, I had a birthday. We were a crew of 30 guys, all kinds of ages, my age and maybe till the age of 27, 28. I'm 20, right? 30 guys. I do not speak to one today. Not one. Where are all these guys? They all fell off. You're young, you're full of dreams, or you're full of ambition, or you're full of, like, you want to discover life at least a little bit, and each one just fell. This one, career, job, ugly girlfriend, career, job, fat girlfriend, career, job, shit job at home, pothead, social welfare, boom, 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 boom. I don't want to disrespect them, honest to God. It's like, but I'm witnessing this. I'm like, you're becoming the very thing we promised ourselves as kids never to become, which is the adults. And then they look at you and they're like, yo, you got to grow up. You got to make money to pay the bills and to do this and to do that. And I was fortunate enough that my parents were comfortable financially. So I was blessed to have the space to find myself, if we're going to say it like this. I never had an urgency. Now I need to go get a job. When I got jobs, it was just to have extra money so I can pay for travels or pay for clothing. I didn't need the job. Because I was supported as long as I went to school, that was the deal, of course. That's why I went to school for so long, in part. So you witness the transition, and all these guys fell off and become the very thing you hated as a teenager. Grown-ups. The stuck-upness, the analness, the systematic self-delusion and lies. You're like, I can't hang out with you, can't talk anymore. Can't have a real conversation anymore. Now you're like talking about stuff that I don't care. You want to talk about stocks? What the fuck is life about? What's happening to us? Why we're getting older? What's like the fundamental stuff? No concern. They're just some talk about stocks. Other ones talk about Star Wars Episode 1 that came out and watch it 8 times in a row, right? Each person, different guys at different levels. I have nothing against stocks, but I'm like, what's happening what's life about before I care about stocks? Because what's the meaning of stocks? You're going to make money, and with money you're going to buy this and this and this. I'm like, well, what's the meaning of all of that if there's no meaning to life and it's from the start? And people started looking at me funny, man, you smoking too much weed. I'm like, this ain't the weed. I've been like this all the time. Except that when you're 15, we don't talk about this so much. Now we're like at the brink of adulthood or entering adulthood, and I'm like, I don't want to go there. This is like a one-way ticket to disease and death. I don't care how many times you go travel. I don't care how many fancy cars you have. I'm like, I don't see the point. That's the key. I don't see the point. So, quote unquote, I got spiritual. For me, it wasn't spiritual. I don't give a fuck about spirituality. It's like, no, I'm looking for answers. And I believe, I'd like to say, I don't want to speak on my own behalf in regards to this, but it's like, well, I had a genuine yearning and I attracted towards myself answers, a path. And the path of self-discovery or self-realization or however you want to call it, inevitably at some point confronts you to yourself as a human being, where you are and your current state. I'm like, well, I'm fucked up. My body's sick. I've eaten junk food most of my life thus far. I don't know nothing about healthy nutrition. I don't know nothing about nutrition besides how to eat to go to the gym and add on extra weight. I don't know anything. I have to study all of this. Now I have a heartache, I have heartburn, I have knee pains, joint pain. And now you start to understand, well, this is going to catch up to me in a minute. Then you start getting educated, start reading, you start being surrounded with a different kind of group of people. You start realizing, you can cleanse the body, and then because you feel the urgency. As your mind starts to stabilize itself, you feel an urgency to start to take care of yourself, and you have to catch up because you don't know nothing. So slowly, that takes you further and further and further away from your friends, and more into your process, which is technically a process of healing, but it's not separated from an existential quest or a discovery of self. It's all one. Health doesn't mean for me the same it means for a fitness person. Health means for me alignment of the spinal column, which you can't get through a chiropractor. right? And that process took me in a deep study of all of this in order to unfuck myself. Because if I tell you, we'll have conversations about nutrition, and I'll tell you at some point what I ate as a kid, all the way to until I changed my lifestyle. Dude, I was like, I've made of refined sugar. Of course you're an idiot. Of course you can't think straight. Of course you're confused. You're like, your whole body is poisoned. But you don't know that. You don't realize that. You don't realize to which extent the stuff that you eat is literally poison. You don't understand how it affects you, how it affects your brain, how it affects your mind, how it affects your behavior, how it affects your mood. You don't know anything. Let's say you read it in a book, you still don't understand. So I had this as primary concern, I want to fix myself because I'm sick and tired of suffering. And I want to find answers. And I want to make something of my life. And of course, I'm receiving teachings by my teacher who's painting to me a big picture of life that I had never seen before. I'm like, wow, okay, this is promising. This is inspiring. It's epic. It's supremely epic. It's so epic that it's like hard to grasp. But my heart resonates with it. For the first time since I'm a kid where I wanted to be a hockey player, professional hockey star, now for the first time, I'm like, oh, okay, I want to live. I want that. You're painting me a picture and I'm seeing you do it. This is an old man, he's like 74, 75 at the time, right? But it doesn't matter. Just like you're okay, this is inspiring. So the quest for health wasn't separated from my quest of self. And at the end of the day, for me, it's like the preliminary phase of any of your path is I'm suffering. Any person who's genuine about and succeeds, they're suffering and they solve their suffering. So if a person is going to be rich, he's suffering because he's not. If a person is going to be Kobe Bryant, he's suffering because he's not the best. It's always at the start because there's a suffering. And what do most people do? They numb their suffering. In every way, shape, or form, they numb it. And I will not tell you I'm so much better. I tried to numb my suffering absolutely and completely. It just didn't work for me. If it would have, I wouldn't be here. I couldn't numb it. It just kept catching up to me, and I couldn't, no matter how hard I tried, it came in my face. So every person who accomplishes anything, it doesn't matter in what sphere of life, it is number one, the first segment is you're in suffering, you pain. And the suffering is so big that it motivates you or pushes you to find a solution. That's if you're intelligent enough to understand that your pain must be resolved and that you're courageous enough amidst the fear to go into the unknown to find a solution. And then when you find a solution, it's not enough. Then you have to apply it. You've lost 99% of the people already by that point. So that was my case. I was like, no, I need a solution. And for me, in my late teens and early 20s, well, I thought money was the solution, so I went and got myself a job. I thought it was picking up girls, having big muscles. I got a little bit of that. I got a taste of all those things that were promised to me by society. And in my system, I'm like, that's not the solution. I have money now. I'm not rich, by all means. But I have a taste of what money is from at the age that I have. I know what it is to go to a club and go VIP. And I'm like, this is not going to do it for me. If you give me this 10 times 20 or times 2,000, right? Let's say you have a drink and the drink tastes like nothing. Give me a super version of it. It's just more of nothing. That was clear for me. I'm like, that's not the avenue. That's not my path. It's not doing it for me. The itch of being this supreme mogul of money it's not giving it to me. I need something else. I'm looking for something else. And I was always also clear that I don't want to live. No, I wasn't always clear. That's not true. Deep down, I was always clear, but it took me some time for this truth to reveal itself. So I don't want to be a monk. I want to experience all aspects of life. I want to be a whole person. That's what a man is for me. You're whole. That means all aspects of life are integrated into one coherent organic self. That's what I wanted. So at different phases of my life, I was in extremes. I enjoyed these extremes for what they're worth. It's short-lived. Then you get bored. Because what about the other parts? I lived in an ashram. I experienced the ashram life. I experienced the monk life. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. It was deep. But then you're like, well, I'm bored. Something's missing. Yeah, everything else. But it's difficult to bring all the pieces together into one. It's very, very, very difficult. And I made it my purpose in life to do that. This is my personal goal. I'm going to bring all the pieces together. They can be brought together. They must be brought together in a coherent way. and I don't have to try or force it or have like segregated life. Well, I make money here, but it doesn't talk to that part like a lot of people do, or this thing doesn't talk to this part. I'm like, that's like disjointed. That's the opposite of health. You're disjointed, literally. I'm like, no, it has to come together, and there has to be a thread that ties it all together perfectly. You don't have to use your imagination. So that was my objective from the start. So health is a byproduct of my quest, my interest in life. It is the pillars, the foundation of life is health. Again, when I'm talking about health, it's not fitness. There's nothing wrong with fitness, but a person can be fitness and they're insane, as you can see. They're mentally deranged. Who does this? Who starves themselves or eats only meat? And this is, come on, I don't want to get into these subjects, but they're deranged. I was a fitness dude also. So I was a bodybuilder for years. I'm totally insane. Because you're trying to find something in fitness that cannot be found there. It's not fair for fitness. So we have to have compassion for fitness. Anyway, so this is the story of why I became a health professional, because I learned so much about it. And I was looking for a way to interact with people and make a living at the time. And I'm like, well, I can help people by being a health professional. So that took me to nursing. I spent some time there. I'm like, it's not for me. The medical system is insane. This guy's got a heart attack and they give him like juicy, greasy meat. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. I'm not feeding you that. I remember being at the hospital. I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you that. You're gonna have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm like, I'm the one feeding you, bro. I'm not giving you this. No. So anyways, so then, but all these diplomas that I acquired mostly because I wanted to learn about, I went to study in osteopathy. I want to learn about the body, how it works from that paradigm for myself. Then I'm there and okay, well, at some point you can graduate. There's always a journey with me to graduate because I don't fucking care. But let's say I do end up graduating in certain circumstances. And then you're like, okay, well, I still have to make a living now. So let's explore practicing the skill set of hands-on touch. I'm not interested in osteopathy between me and you. I'm interested in hands-on healing, which is a gift I had since I'm a kid. So that's kind of like the pretext to practice, so I did. And for some time it's giving me money. Then I'm like, this sucks, dude. I have to like see X number of patients a day. I have to like touch them and deal with them, and they stink, and they treat you like a slut. Like you're a slut. They come in, they give you the money, they lay on the table, fuck me, fix them, and then you have to, like a whore, like you want to give them another appointment. I hated it. I hated it. And so I had to slowly adjust my way of doing business so that it's more aligned with me. It evolved slowly but surely as I developed my skill set and my powers. But the point is, my interest in health was because this is the foundation of life. And we see today with the COVID war, the reason people are terrified, which is the majority of people, is because they don't know nothing about the human body. They know nothing about the mind. They don't know the correlation between the two because they're one and the same at the end of the day. They don't understand nothing about the medical system. They don't understand about the politics of the medical system. They don't know nothing about the science, the world of science, the history of science, which all stuff I've studied, and how it's all a con. And they are subject to the manipulations and then are pushed into a place of fear. Even those who are pretend that COVID don't exist, they just push it aside, but they're still afraid, and you can see from their behavior, they're in fear. So I didn't want to live in fear because I know like this is the foundation and the world is being controlled, and I understood this since I was a kid. The world is controlled through health. People are controlled by their health. Because if you're healthy, you think straight. If you think straight, when somebody says something stupid, you're like, no. Well, as you can clearly see, the world is dumb. Because they're presenting you Coca-Cola and here you go, you drink it. Like, this is literally poison. This is not my opinion. And you drink it. Well, why would you drink something that is literally a poison? Because you're confused. Why else would you drink something? You give Coca-Cola to the dog don't drink the Coca-Cola. Brother doesn't understand anything. He's a dog. No, this is poison. He just turns away. I tried. So the dog knows, but the person doesn't know. It shows to which extent they're mentally confused, and that's the essence of health. So health is the foundation of the human experience, and without it, you're lost and you're done for. And I knew this from the start, and we're seeing the result. And health is something that it's something you build. It's throughout your life, even when you're, let's say you're 95, you're still building your health. And the understanding of death in the light of a true understanding of health is not the same death that your average person has, which is just violent and horrible, on drugs, stuck in a machine with vent. This is horror movie stuff. People are dying miserably against their will. They don't want to die. They're so attached. This is not what life is about. So, like I said, and I'm repeating myself, and I hope I'm making my point, health is the foundation of the human experience, or a profound, successful human experience. It's what tunes you, it tunes your nervous system, it tunes your body to the wide spectrum of the human experience. And that's what allows you to put all the pieces together in a coherent fashion so that your life is aligned. Not partially aligned, aligned.